Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Circle of Debate Top 5 Moments. I am your host, 1/5 of the Circle Debate, Mike De Niro. Today we got a really special show because we're talking about a promotion that I personally loved and not many people did. But we're talking about top 5 moments of Wrestling Society X. And in order to make this episode special, we had to bring on our boy from the Championship on the Line podcast. We got Alex in the building. What's up, man?
What's up, Mike? Thanks again, man, for having me on. And yeah, just excited to talk about Wrestling Society X. You're right, man. It was a company that a lot of people didn't like, but we loved it. So that's what was important. It was a great company, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Most definitely. Like, I had to pull out the old box set. Now, I remember when the show was. That? Yeah, it got the roster on the front. Like, I remember, I didn't even know that they made a box set. I remember I was in Best Buy one day and I saw it in the DVD section. I was like, what? You gotta cop that. Because I remember when it was coming on weekly on MTV, and it was just, I believe it was on Tuesdays. It was during ECW when ECW was on Sci-Fi. So it was competing with ECW, which, if you understand the spirit of XPW and later on becomes Wrestling Society X, they always feuded with ECW. I felt like that was going to be a never-ending feud. But yeah, I mean, only 10 episodes, only 9 of them were shown on TV. The last episode wasn't even shown on TV.
Unaired.
So definitely, this is like a little time capsule caught in a bottle here.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, especially especially to of all places that landed on MTV. And I think it was like at 10 p.m. It was like very late they showed it. But yeah, man, it was something that at the time was very different, and it had a great roster. Had some really good known wrestlers and even guys that were bringing up too. So it was a little mix of everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was super fun watching it. And also too was different too. Like, yeah, I remember they even had like musical guests, like that performances, which was totally different at the time. And I thought it worked, and it was fun.
I definitely think that Wrestling Society X is like the guinea pig of what Lucha Underground ended up becoming.
Yeah.
Wrestling Society X is like the little sample size to see, can we do like an underground style wrestling and see if it's going to pop off. Yeah. I just wish that it was on a different channel, because there was a lot of limitations that MTV gave Wrestling Society X. Like, for example, they didn't want the wrestlers doing anything that kids could do at home. So there was no punches or kicks to the face. But there was explosions, barbed wire, and blood. So that's why it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Definitely, I feel like MTV limited Wrestling Society X. And also, if you watch some of the matches, they were very like edited and short because they had to fit in the 30-minute time for the episode. Yeah. I know that there was works from Big Vision Entertainment to actually put out a Wrestling Society X uncut DVD where you got all the matches in its full form. I don't know if that's ever going to see the light of day, but if it does, gosh, I would be so excited for that, because some of these matches were crazy. Even the first matchup on the first episode, Matt Seidel versus Jack Evans. At the time, two relative unknowns. Now look where they are. Like, it's insane, this roster. Like, before we get to the list, I thought we might, go over some of the people that's on this roster, because it's insane. Like, it's a who's who.
Yeah.
You have Vampiro, Six Pac, former X-Pac, Ricky Banderas, who becomes Mil Muertes in Lucha Underground. You got Youth Suicide, who is a guy who's getting a start here. Matt Seidel, Jack Evans, Human Tornado from the PWG, and now he's in XPW, but that California scene. Scorpio Sky, who now on AEW.
Yeah.
Got Vicious Vic Grimes, former ECW and XPW star. Eric Cannon, Matt Classic, who is Colt Cabana, a guy who's getting a lot of a lot of attention right now. El Hombre Mascarado, who is I believe he was a wrestler named Quicksilver on the West Coast scene, if I'm not mistaken.
PWG,
yeah. The tag teams, you got the Filth and Fury, which is M-Dog 20, Matt Cross, aka Son of Havoc, if you guys remember him in Lucha Underground, teaming up with Teddy Hart. You got Team Dragon Gate, which was a big get at the time because Dragon Gate was on fire in this era. So you have Masato Yoshino and Haraguchi. You have Los Potros Guapos, which is Aaron Aguilera, who played Jesus in the WWE. He feuded with John Cena for a very brief period. If you remember the Carlito John Cena stabbing angle, he was a part of that. And his teammate was Joey Chaos from the West Coast, who was also the longest reigning XPW TV champion. You have the Cartel, which featured B-Boy, who was also in the West Coast scene, Luke Hawx. But I feel like the biggest star who is on this show and was a relative unknown was a guy named Tyler Black, who's now Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw. When I seen Tyler Black for the first time here, it was someone who I never saw before. And now look who he is.
Yeah.
First time he was ever on TV was Wrestling Society X. And people don't even realize, like, that's insane to think. But we're here to talk about top 5 moments. So the floor is yours, man. Let me know your top 5 favorite Wrestling Society X moments.
Ooh, okay. This took time. This really, I had to go back and watch pretty much all the 9 episodes. Yeah. So first, I'm gonna go with number 5. I'm gonna go for a wrestler though. I'm gonna go with a guy that had a lot of matches in Wrestling Society X, and I think it's a guy that a lot of people forget and don't know enough about this person. And I think he's one of the guys I think should have been signed, should have been in AEW or WWE. And I'm gonna go with Human Tornado. So he's a guy that I was a big fan of growing up, watched him all the time, and in the West Coast, and had really great matches. He had a lot of good matches against Jack Evans, Matt Seidel, Six Pack, Luke Hawx. Just a lot of really cool matches at the time, and I really liked Human Tornado. And also too, he was on Nacho Libre. People don't know. Yeah, he was us. People don't forget, but yeah, he was in there too.
I always love the character, the balls of steel. Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I said, I would go with Human Tornado. Again, a guy that should have been signed to a big company, which sucks, but I think he retired recently. But yeah, man,
he's actually making a comeback. He's just got signed for XPW in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, so pretty cool to see him coming back.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Really an exciting talent, good wrestler, and yeah, man, just a veteran too. He's been doing this for a very, very long time, and yeah, man. So number 5, go for Human Tornado. Just yeah,
awesome,
cool. Let's see, number 4. It's funny you mentioned this, and number 4, I'm gonna go with the match. Obviously, the first match of Wrestling Society X. Gotta go with Matt Seidel versus Jack Evans. Same like you. I was a little kid. Was watching, I was watching MTV. I was a big fan of Robin Big, watching that show. After that came out, Society X. Right, Society X was after that. And then I remember watching Jack Evans and Matt Seidel, and just blown away what these guys did in the ring, especially the first match of the company's history, which was awesome. Both of them obviously ended up doing really big in their careers. Jack Evans, obviously AEW, Lucha Underground. Seidel having WWE career and also AEW. So yeah, man, just all back and forth, really exciting guys. And you could tell this match too, like they were bringing it, like at the time they were unknown, and this is like their big stage, like TV deal, MTV.
Yeah, to prove themselves.
Yeah, so it was a great match to start the first episode, and yeah, man, really big fan of that one.
Awesome,
cool. And let's see, number 3. I'm gonna go with a tag match on this one. So I'm gonna go with the Filth and the Fury, which is Teddy Hart, Matt Cross, as they take on Los Pochos Guapos. That's Cesaro, Aguilera, and Joey Chaos. I think it was episode 7, I believe. So episode 7, and yeah, man, that match was so great. Just back and forth, really exciting action, especially with Teddy Hart too. I think he's a guy that kind of like is very underrated. Never really got like a lot of credit and stuff he was doing. And same thing with Matt Cross too. Like Matt Cross is still wrestling, still doing it, still killing it. And and it was a very young Matt Cross when he had hair.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely M-Dog 20 days.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just like them two working, I feel like them as a tag team, like at the time were really, really good. They worked really well together. And sitting with Eric Aguilera, Joey Chaos, especially Joey Chaos, what he's been doing, especially he's the owner of Santino Bros Wrestling School out on the West Coast. And especially Eric Aguilera too. Yeah, and it's crazy because you mentioned that, he had the little thing with John Cena. Especially Diddy, and it's like, dang, I wish it would have happened. I think he was pretty good for that role, but I mean,
yeah, he was pretty talented.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. And
for Joey Chaos, I always thought Joey Chaos could have been a lot bigger of a star too. I thought that he had the complete package: the look, the talent, the size, the mic skills. Like a lot of his XPW days in the Enterprise, like he was a great star, rock star Joey Chaos. So I definitely thought he could have been something on the main roster of WWE or TNA at the time.
Absolutely, man. Definitely agree. Yeah, man. But especially what he's been doing now as a coach. He's bringing a lot of wrestling stars out of Santino. So he's been doing a really great job doing that. And man, just a really good. It was a really good match, especially when freaking Teddy Hart does that backflip off the top.
God, insane, man. Teddy Hart was insane, so fucking crazy in this damn era.
Oh yeah, especially when he came out when he jumped, it's so smooth, like the way, like slow mo, like it was just great how he just did that. It was just awesome. But yeah, man, just a really good match. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Pocho Wapa's won that match. I think they were the winners on that one. But yeah, man, love that match. So yeah, number 3, go with Fifth and the Furrier versus Pocho Wapos.
Awesome.
Cool. Man, this is a tough one. Number 2. I gotta go with Vampiro beating Six Pack for the title.
Great matchup.
Really great matchup. Yeah, man. It was really fun watching them just both of them beating the crap out of each other. It was just fun. This is at the time as a kid, like me, like a little kid watching. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. Just both of them, just again, that's one thing about Wrestling X. They thought out of the box. They did so many things, like bar table or electrocution, like just so much stuff. I'm like, wait, what? Like you wouldn't think, but it was just cool, and it just had that underground like feeling, like it was like it was just like, I don't know, it was just really cool. Like thinking back, and it was different. And
it felt like Fight Club. If you remember the movie Fight Club, it felt like a wrestling Fight Club.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, man, it was just a really good match. Vampiro winning it. He was the first ever society champion. So yeah, man, just really good match, especially too, like you do with Six Pac, even at the time too, like he was still like in good shape, still putting on good matches at the time, and he was bringing it too. So like both of them, with that match, yeah, man, I'm gonna go Vampiro wins the championship over Six Pac. I think it was episode 2, so that's gonna be my number 2.
Sounds good.
And so yeah, the first man, so number 1, again, I have to go back to the pilot. I have to go back to the first episode, the WXX Rumble, which was the main event. It was 10 man in the ring. So like people don't know. So it was 10 man. It started out as a Rumble, but as soon as all the guys got in the ring, it became a ladder match.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it became a ladder match, and then they had 2 contracts up. So 2 guys had to get the contracts, and then next week was the match. But yeah, just really, really exciting match. It was just really fun. Again, it was something different. It was something fresh, something new. And yeah, man, just watching it, all the stuff they did. I think at one point, yeah, like just like people getting electrocuted. Like there was like a fence. There was a fence. I remember being like someone, I forgot who fell on it, but someone fell on it. And someone got electrocuted. There was tables, like little barbed wire, just a bunch of stuff, and it was just crazy madness, just a bunch of stuff happening. But yeah,
that was insane. So much happened on that.
Oh yeah, people falling on ladders. It was just so much stuff, but it was fun. It was a great way to end, especially this episode 1, which was awesome. Kept you wanting to see more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I go with that one. Especially Vampiro and X-Pac won. And then they both wrestled each other next week, and Vampiro won it. But I forgot to even mention too. But I remember when they wrestled. I remember Vampiro when he wrestled X-Pac. I remember the finish too, like when I think it was like a casket or something.
Yeah.
Which was
like the tombstone what? Through the casket.
The tombstone. And they're like, who won? Who won? And then finally Vampiro like gets up and it's like, oh, he won the title. But
like gushing blood through his mouth.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that was such a great moment. And the casket exploded. I felt like everything was rigged with explosives in Wrestling Society X, which is crazy because, like, not to take a shot at AEW, but Wrestling Society X, they pulled off the explosion really well. And I'm sure AEW had a much bigger budget than Wrestling Society X. So for sure, like, but yeah, man, that great list. Excellent list. I'm going to have to copy some of the stuff that's on that list because it's on mine as well. but really good list, man.
Thank you.
All right, so my Wrestling Society X list. Let me see. I want to make sure I had 5. I thought I put like 7 of them. There was so many I could think of. My number 5 is Ricky Banderas versus Vampiro for the XPW for the Wrestling Society X champion. That matchup was insane. They killed each other in that matchup. If you remember, I believe there was a spot where they went by the stage where the bands would perform, and there was a table set up there with some light tubes. And Ricky Banderas, I think he chokeslammed him or powerbombed Vampiro through the light tubes. And for the rest of the match, Vampiro's back was just torn up. It was a bloody mess. And like I said, this was the same company where they were told, don't do nothing that kids could do at home. And you got Vampiro's back just torn to shreds. But definitely a good matchup. Being Puerto Rican, my dad would show me a lot of like WC and IWA Puerto Rico. So Ricky Banderas was a guy I was actually familiar with way before Wrestling Society X. So him coming in, I was already rooting for him because he was a Puerto Rican star over there. So when I saw him come in, I was so excited because he was a guy that I would watch on videotapes and never seen in the United States. I know he was doing stuff with AAA. So it was really cool to see him here in the United States wrestling on TV. And then him and Vampiro just mixed so together. Like they were really good with each other. They had great chemistry. I believe they had a barbed wire war in IWA Puerto Rico as well. So this was like the rematch for that. The whole storyline was Ricky Banderas' face was ruined. Like he was scarred up and burnt. And that was because Vampiro was in that matchup in IWA Puerto Rico and he burnt Ricky Banderas' face. So I like how the storyline went from the Puerto Rico match to here in Wrestling Society X. But Ricky Banderas beating Vampiro for the Wrestling Society X champion was a really cool moment for me. Because
wasn't there a fireball too? I think something like that.
Yeah, when he first came out, like when he first debuted, he threw a fireball in Vampiro's face. And if you remember, MTV edited the shit out of that. They wanted to make it look like a galactic gun or something. And it was like, come on, man. Like, it was a fireball. Like fireball's been used in wrestling since the dawn of time. And like if you think about like the original Sheik throwing fireballs, like now you have like on MTV they have to like edit it out and made it look like it was like a laser or some shit. Like, that's the one thing that took away. Like the MTV edits took away from the show because they try to make it a little too hokey at times.
Yeah, for sure.
Now my number 4 is the Filth and the Fury versus the Trailer Park Boys. It was especially the moment where Teddy Hart electrocutes Spider Nate Webb. He pulls out some live wires, electrocutes him, then puts him on a table, throws water on the table, and then puts the live wires onto the table. The whole freaking thing explodes. Then from there, he goes up to the balcony or whatever. It was like a what was it? If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't a balcony. It was like a shipment container or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went up to like the shipment container, which was about like 15 feet in the air. And then he hit the open heart surgery, which was like the spiral tap that AJ Styles used to do. Insane, man. Yo, the stuff that Teddy Hart was pulling out in this show was insane. Like this man, I don't know how he didn't get a contract just based off of the stuff he was pulling out. Because, like you said, you mentioned in the match with Los Potros Guapos when he did the giant moonsault from the balcony. Yeah. Here, I believe that was when he did it from the balcony, when I think he was like behind the commentary booth.
Yeah, he went behind, walked behind them and then did it.
But man, insane. Like, and then you have, as soon as he hits that, it was called the open heart surgery. As soon as he hits that, they shoot right back to the ring. And then you got M-Dog 20 hitting a shooting star leg drop on the other dude in the team. I forgot his name, but insane matchup. That was one of the matches where I showed my friend because he was like not into it after the first episode. I said, go back and watch episode 3. After he saw that, he was like, all right, yeah, I got to watch this series. This guy's insane. Because Teddy Hart was killing himself in this freaking show. It was insane, man. Number 3 is the finale of Wrestling Society X, the opening matchup that many people did not get to see because it was actually not on TV. If you remember, they actually canceled it and had a marathon of Wrestling Society X to end off the show. They showed the rest of the episodes. I believe they ended it at like episode 6. And then I remember one night seeing that they were going to show episode 6 through 9 for like in a marathon form. And actually, I fucking put out a VHS tape and I actually taped the whole series. Like, but I never knew that there was another episode after that until I got the DVD box set. There was an episode 10 that was unreleased. And on this show, there was a matchup. It was the Filth and the Fury, Teddy Hart and M-Dog 20 versus Team Dragon Gate, which is Hiraguchi and Masato Yoshino, who was a fast wrestler. He was, I believe they call him the Speed Star. He was extremely fast. But they wrestled in an exploding time bomb steel cage match.
Cage match, yep. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, a lot of people like to give TNA shit for the electrified cage match that they had between, I believe it was the Dudleys and LAX in 2007 at Lockdown. They had like the electrified cage. And every time someone hit the cage, like the lights will flicker and that's like them getting electrocuted. Yeah. Here in Wrestling Society X, every time someone hit the cage, there was an actual explosion. And then to end off the show, there was a time bomb that goes off and the whole ring explodes. And it's like the whole series goes off with this giant bang. It was an awesome moment. Really cool. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Team Dragon Gate won that. And we saw some dissension between Teddy Hart and M-Dog 20. It was just a great way to end it. And it made me want to see more. Like, I was so upset after finally seeing episode 10 that there was not going to be a second season, because on the DVD, there's actually, I think they have bonus features where they had like the editors and the directors talking about what season 2 would have been. And they also talk about like what storylines were going to go. And Teddy Hart was going to become a heel and form a heel tag team with Jack Evans, which they already was a team on the indies. I thought that would have been amazing. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was supposed to be M-Dog 20 forming a team with, I think, Human Tornado, and it was going to be Human Tornado and M-Dog 20 versus Jack Evans and Teddy Hart, which would have been insane. But a season 2 would have been awesome for sure. My number 2 pick is Vampiro winning the WSX championship. Like you said, great matchup. In my opinion, it might be the best, like, overall, like, pure matchup on Wrestling Society X. Vampiro and X-Pac put on a really good matchup. They had good chemistry with each other. And like you mentioned, they had that surprise finish at the end where there was a coffin on the outside and Vampiro hits the tombstone onto the coffin and then the coffin explodes.
Yeah.
Like, no one saw that coming. You had Chris Kloss, who is like screaming on the top of his lungs on commentary. A really cool moment. Like, I love that.
An exploding coffin. Like, just think.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
And then Vampiro always been a guy that I enjoyed in WCW. I thought that he was really underrated in WCW. And I know he did other stuff. He had a little stint in TNA. I know he was doing stuff for MLW after WCW, but it wasn't like anything that I was like able to like really watch and get my eyes on. So seeing Vampiro here again and winning the title was really cool, because I always thought he was a guy that was so underrated. And then you got this really cool promotion that's like balls to the wall and completely different. And then you got the guy who I enjoyed on WCW winning the title. I was like, finally, he's getting his just due. So definitely a cool moment. My number 1 is just like your number 1 is the Wrestling Society X Rumble to crown the number 1 contenders for, which, by the way, like people don't know, like they were crowning 2 number 1 contenders. It was one Rumble that crowned 2 winners, which was awesome because that was very innovative at the time. And I love how, like, it wasn't like a briefcase hanging or like a contract with a clipboard. They literally just had a chain hanging, and they had the contract like rolled up and like stuck in the chain. You have to like pull it out the chain, which was really cool. One moment that really sticks out to me in this matchup was you had, I believe it was Luke Hawx. He puts Joey Chaos through the live electrical wires, and then they cut right through. There's not even like time to show what's going on. You see the explosion, and then they cut right to New Jack doing a balcony dive onto Chris Hamrick.
Yep.
Yo, that's what Wrestling Society X was all about. It was absolute chaos at all times. They're wrestling all over. I believe they called it the bunker. They wrestled all over the bunker, and anything can happen at any time. You have, in this matchup, you have ECW legends like Just Incredible and New Jack. You have guys like X-Pac, Vampiro. In this matchup, you have The Future and Teddy Hart. You had Youth Suicide, who was making his debut. I believe that was his first matchup. First thing he does is come out and throw thumbtacks all over. Yeah, just craziness, man. It was awesome. And like you said, what a way to cap off the first episode. How do you watch that first episode, seeing Jack Evans and Matt Seidel, and then seeing that Rumble matchup and say, yeah, this is not for me? Like, I was instantly drawn in as soon as that first episode ended. But that's my list, man.
Yeah, man. It makes you think, man, like what could have happened. Like, especially with the season 2, they went into the season, like what roster additions would have happened, like storylines, what could have happened. I mean, it makes you think, and it sucks. We only got like 9 episodes, but it was definitely fun. A lot of craziness in Society X, so much crazy stuff. Because like you said, like they had to switch so many like cameras because like one thing was happening and another crazy thing was happening. Like it was just so much going on. And maybe some people probably think, oh, maybe it's too overwhelming, too much. But no, it was perfect. It was crazy, something new, and it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, especially too, like it gave inspiration to Lucha Underground, which Lucha Underground kind of did a lot of things Society X did. But yeah, man, it was just really fun. I just wish maybe MTV promoted it more because I remember MTV did not promote it as much.
They were constantly bumping heads. Like I know Kevin Kleinrock, who was the producer of Wrestling Society X, said that it was a constant fight with MTV the whole time even before they even got on air. It was a constant fight, and just to get MTV just to mention that they were on that channel was a fight. So I don't know, like why would you have a show on your channel and not promote it? Especially wrestling. Like wrestling was still doing good numbers. Actual fact, Wrestling Society X on its first episode, the very first viewing of the first episode was over 1 million viewers. Now look at AEW and look at everybody. Like we make a big deal every time they go over 1 million because in this day and age, it's rare. Wrestling Society X with their 30 minutes got over 1 million viewers. How is that not a promotion or a show that you want to promote on your TV channel?
Exactly. And I think it had a horrible time slot too. It was like at 10 o'clock or something. Yeah, it was not a good time slot for them.
For sure. But yeah, man, just insane. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Let me see up on the list. Which I think. See. I don't know. I'm seeing. I mean, like I said, like they had a lot of legends and also a lot of guys, prospects, up and comers. Like, I mean, I remember they would mix up a lot. Like I remember watching like 6-Pac versus Scorpio Sky. Which is like a matchup people don't even remember like even happening. Like, wait, what? They wrestled? But yeah, like it was like Scorpio Sky barely coming up. And
so you would come out with his like high school awards or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember, like, if I'm not mistaken, the dude, what was his name? Kayfabe or Fabian Kalen or something, the ring announcer. He would be like, from Montclair High School. Yeah, that was really awesome. I got 2 honorable mentions because they didn't make the list, but there were 2 matches that I was close to putting on the list. Number 1 was the TLC match between Los Potros Guapos versus Luke Hawx and Alcatraz.
Yep.
And TLC was not tables, ladders, and chairs. It was tables, ladders, and cervezas, which was the beer bottles that was used during the matchup.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love how Chris Kloss on commentary was saying cervezas. Like, it was so cringy, but definitely it was a crazy matchup that ended with a crazy spot where I believe they're on top of the ladder and Luke Hawx hits a facebuster onto Joey Chaos, onto the whole 6-pack of beer bottles. Insane, man. And then a matchup that gets no talk about being one of the most craziest shits ever in the United States. I believe it was the Cartel versus Eric Cannon and Big Grimes in a piranha death match.
Oh, where you have the spot.
You had to dump your opponent in a fish tank of piranhas. Bro, like, what the hell? Shout out Timothy Williams. Thanks for being here, Timothy. Like, what the hell? Like, who comes up with these ideas? Like, for real. I know they were doing stuff like that in Japan, FMW, and I know Big Japan would do crazy stuff like piranha death matches, but never seen anything like that in the United States, especially on television. This is not something that was like keen to television. So if you think about like the other channel, you have like the fake ECW and they're not going extreme at all, right? And then you want to talk about going extreme, and then you got a fucking piranha death match on the other side. And it was not like they dunked him in and then that's it. Like they dunked him in and then put the lid on it, and he was stuck into the murky water. It was like a dark, murky water and piranhas floating around. Timothy Williams says piranhas. What the hell? Yeah. Wrestling Society X episode 10. There was a piranha death match. Maybe that's why they weren't shown on TV. That could be a reason, because I'm sure PETA and everybody was in an uproar for that one. But yeah, definitely insane.
So crazy, man.
So let me see if I can show the camera here. Like you can see, like he's kicking him into the tank of piranhas. Like craziness, but definitely, it was amazing for its time. Unfortunately, we probably never see anything like Wrestling Society X again.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I was instantly hooked, and I was a huge fan for sure.
And you gotta think of like I said, like earlier, like they had musical performances. So like 3-6 Mafia was there. Freaking Pitbull was there. This is like early in his career, but like he was on the show too. So like just the stars that came out from there too, from musical performances.
They had Good Charlotte at one time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like it's just crazy, and it was like I said, it was different, and it was a lot of fun. It just sucks that we never got a second season. What could have happened, but yeah, man. Especially the unaired episode too, like you were talking about, like the exploding cage match.
That might be the best episode if you ask me. Like the last episode was the best episode.
Yeah, man. It just sucks. I mean, it
says because rivalries always get to a boiling point, but that's a bit much, I guess. Yeah, it is a bit much to throw somebody in a fish tank with piranhas for sure. I mean, but also this is the same promotion where you had the same team, the Cartel, put wet cement onto Eric Cannon's face, dumping his face in cement, and then putting a dead fish on him, saying that he sleeps with the fishes. Yeah. So this was a whole different promotion. This was different than anything else that anyone's ever seen in the United States or anywhere in the world at this time. A lot of people like to talk about, XPW was really edgy and shit. This was a lot different than XPW. It was a lot more edgier if you think about
it was on TV.
They're pulling this off on TV. Like XPW was never on national broadcast TV, especially MTV. That's shown in everybody's household. There wasn't no syndicated stuff. So insane for sure. Like I said, we probably will never see it again, but it lives on in memories. And I know now, all these years later, there's starting to be like a cult little following for XPW, and people that are going back and saying that was actually a really fun show to watch. So definitely, I think that, never say never. Never say never. I mean, I never thought we'd see a bunch of stuff. Like XPW is actually back now. I mean, Rob Black has brought back XPW, and XPW's back. Who knows if they get on TV and run a Wrestling Society X Part 2. It would be very interesting to see. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does, sign me up because I'll be all for that.
Yeah, and especially too because I think they had big expectations. I think they thought it was gonna last a long time. Because I remember, like, even Matt Seidel, like, even he was said like he was offered like a 5-season contract, like 5-year contract. So like they were offering a lot of like these big contracts, and I think they just thought maybe like, oh, maybe it'll last a few seasons, but just only lasted one.
Yeah, I mean on the DVD they have bonus content and interviews with, like I said, the producers and all that. They wanted to run pay-per-views. They wanted to go to an hour. They said they wanted to get on MTV2 because they figured that they would get more leeway to get away with shit on MTV2 if it was on that. That could have probably been what saved the company. But yeah, like they were building up that first season to a pay-per-view. I believe it was Matt Seidel who was feuding with X-Pac towards the end over Lizzie Valentine. They wanted that to be a pay-per-view match. That's why they didn't put that on the finale. So it was supposed to build up to a pay-per-view, and I could only imagine if they were pulling this stuff off on TV, what they would have thought of doing for a pay-per-view. But insane. Like, I think that the only thing that hurts this show the most is MTV's limitations on it, and that's the only thing. But
yeah, absolutely. And especially too, like, so many stars have came. I mean, so many wrestlers that came and then ended up doing really great things. I mean, you mentioned like Seth Rollins was there. And people don't even remember that. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Him teaming with Jimmy Jacobs, so like, Cam, Scorpio Sky, Jack Evans, like all these guys, Matt Seidel. And man, just it promoted these guys really well and ended up having great careers, which was, fun and came from Wrestling Society X.
I think that's going to be the lasting legacy of Wrestling Society X. The lasting legacy is going to be the people that started there and became household names of today. Because there's quite a few of them, and like you said, the biggest one being Seth Rollins. It's insane to think where he started. I believe the group was DIFH or Do It For Her or whatever.
Yeah.
Something real cringy. Jimmy Jacobs was like peace and love, and Seth Rollins was like death metal and like screaming all the time, and it was like they were balancing each other out. But definitely, man, I appreciate you doing this. For sure. Let the people know where to find the Championship on the Line podcast.
Yeah, for sure. We're on YouTube. You can always find us on YouTube on Championship Online Podcast. We're also, if you want to hear the audio version, we're on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify, Spreaker. You can find us there. And you can also follow us on Instagram. We're on Instagram Championship Online, and we're also on Twitter on Championship Online, and also on TikTok too, where we put a lot of cool videos and interviews. And we just dropped the episode today, which is available right now, and it's a brand new interview with the Sicilian powerhouse Vito Fratelli, who's doing a lot of great things right now, especially killing it here in Cali. So yeah, Vito Fratelli just dropped today. So yeah, if you have time, check it out. And
most definitely check that out, everybody, and hit that subscribe button here on Circle Debate. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in, everybody who tunes in every week. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button because we're working so hard over here. Every Tuesday, we got the New Japan show. Every Wednesday, you can see Alex and Richard sometimes for the MMA show. Mm-hmm. You have the flagship show on Thursdays. We just did a great episode 120. You have Top 5 every Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have the Wrestling Delorean Podcast, which I host. And yeah, we have a lot of content coming out. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and definitely make sure you go over and hit the subscribe button and check out Championship on the Line podcast. Until then, I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I love you guys. Take care. Alex, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you. Peace out, everybody.